Okay, I think that's me. Is that me now? Sorry, Corey, that was my fault. I think I just went to Facebook and started going live in Facebook instead of going to the group to go live. Duh. So let's...
Oh, here you are.
Okay. That was completely my fault. What a ding dong. Hey, I think I'm live. I'm Susan Shepard with Gigi Bakes in Charlotte, North Carolina. If you're there, will you wave at me? I'm sorry that we're starting late. That was my bad. So now all of my friends on my personal page can watch the first 10 minutes of this live. How awesome. Who's there? I think we have it. I think we have it linked up now. You see me?
Sideways.
Oh, sideways?
That might be this thing now.
I think, can you turn it sideways? Turn it the
Well,
other
when
way.
I turn it, it goes sideways that way.
Oh. So do I need to turn this the right way? Like this? So do I need to turn my phone the other way? That's not cool. That's going to mess up my whole thing. Okay, who's there?
Yeah, straight up and down now.
Okay, well, I don't know how to fix that, but we'll have to work on it. All right, I've got... Sorry, people, I'm trying to get this. I didn't know I couldn't go up and down on this. All right, so here I've got another. All right, I'm Susan Shepard. I am with Gigi Bakes. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm so sorry that we're getting started late. You would think I was throwing this together at the last minute, but I'm not. Let's see if we can straighten this out. There we go. All right, hopefully that'll work. I may have to mess with it a little bit, but thanks for joining us today. I am here to talk about Asana, which is a work project management program that I've been using for a few months. It's been super helpful in my business, and I'm obviously not using video equipment. And it's been very helpful. It's helped me to be able to focus and be in the moment and not be thinking too far ahead and not feel like I have things that I've forgotten that I can't keep up with. So I don't know if you watched the live that Gina Marie Burke did several months ago on baking business efficiency and organization. If you didn't watch that, you might want to go back and look at that. Gina Marie is from my area. She's local to me. She's very well respected. She has a unique product and sort of a niche in the business. So like Gina Marie, for the last 2.5 years, I have kept my work process, my workflow process on a paper calendar and a spiral notebook. And I'm a little bit OCD and I like for things to look nice. So I spent, I don't know how much time last year designing my own calendar. And then I spent a lot of money on a Martha Stewart binder and I put it in the binder and it looked really pretty. And it did keep me organized. But I got frustrated with the flipping back and forth on the pages, and then if somebody did something or something happened to upset my plan, which was often, I was forever erasing and scratching things out and using correction tape, which I just can't stand because then the pages get all messed up and look bad. So Corey and Heather talked about this Asana project management tool on the podcast quite a few months ago, and so I just tried it. There is a paid version. I just use the free version, but I've been using it for several months, and it has been really helpful to me to be organized and productive, and honestly, just to feel confident about my schedule. So I just want to say up front that because I have a lot to cover, and this is a little bit more technical than I'm used to. I've done a lot of teaching, but not like this. So because I want it to translate well, I have a pretty detailed outline that I'm going to work from. And what I'd like to do is just put that in a more succinct form and make it available in the comments if I can, if Corey and Heather will help me do that when we get done. I don't want you to feel like you have to write everything down. I think it'd be better for you just to watch and listen and stay engaged, and then you can go back and watch the video on replay, or you can just use the notes that I provide. And I'm glad to answer questions in that after the fact as well. Just be sure you write replay in the comments and I'll get back to them as I'm able. All right, so I'm going to just jump in here. I'm going to give you a few terms that I'm going to use so you'll know what I'm talking about, and I won't have to stop and explain as I'm going along. I'm going to break down the planning process from when an order comes in to when it's delivered, and I'll do that in 4 levels. So that's the first term, is levels. I have level 1, which is when the order is received and accepted. Level 2 is when I enter the order's workflow into the Asana project tool. Level 3 is when I put the order's workflow on a calendar on my wall so I can actually see it at a glance. And then level 4 is if I file the order away, if it's a project or an order for later in the calendar year. The second term that we're going to talk about is project. Asana details production in terms of projects, so I consider each order a project. It's still hard for me to refer to it that way because I don't do it in my daily life. So I might interchangeably use the terms project and order throughout this time together. The third term is task. Hi, Corey, I see you, which is pretty obvious, but that's the label for each stage of work that will be done for every order. I think of each order or project in terms of 5 steps or 5 stages. I roll and cut, I bake, I top coat, I decorate, and I deliver. It's not always that cut and dry, but 90% of the time, that's what I do. So each of those stages in Asana language is a task. Okay, so we're going to walk through the planning process from when I receive an order to when it's delivered. And if it's okay, I'm going to go through these things one level at a time, and then I'll pause for questions. I have a friend here who doesn't want to be on camera. In fact, I don't even know where she went. She left the room. She's going to keep up with the questions for me, and we'll stop after each level. That just helps me to stay on track and to get through all of the material in the time that we're planning to be here, even though I lost 10 minutes. Hopefully we can make that up. So just hang on, just go ahead and send your questions, and Allison, my friend, is keeping up with them, and we'll pause and take questions as we finish each level. So I want to talk about level 1, which is when an order is received and accepted. My orders typically come from my email, by email from my website on an order form. My website is actually not that great, and I don't get a ton of traffic there except to place orders. Corey, I can tell you're probably rolling your eyes. Maybe next July I'll have the margin to clean it up and spend some time redesigning my website. But for now, I know how to make the order forms, and we all know I'm not very technologically savvy, so I don't want to mess with that. And it's what I use. People use it. People think it's easy, and so it works for me. It's a Squarespace website. It's pretty intuitive, and I like the way the forms. I can see you, Corey. I like the way the forms come to me. Now, there has definitely been a learning curve here because people really want to communicate by social media, and I just refuse to do it, especially if it's somebody that I don't know. I've had 2 pretty significant miscommunications with a customer, the same customer, because she refused to use the order form, and our communication got lost in the shuffle in Facebook land somewhere, and I'm sure I lost it, and I made the mistake, and I lost her as a customer. So I always push them to the order form, and most of them comply. If they don't want to use the order form, I at least ask them to send me the details in an email so I can print it out, and I have it in written form where I can find it and print it. I've seen screenshots that track conversations about orders within our group, and honestly, they make me break out in a cold sweat. I just can't function like that. It's too stressful for me. So when the order comes in, I first look at a large monthly calendar that's posted on my wall to see if I have the capacity for what the customer is asking. I got my calendar on Etsy. There's lots to choose from, but this one has large squares and not a lot of extraneous information. So there's plenty of room for me to write on it, and it looks cute, which is important to me. These large monthly calendars have both my personal commitments and my business commitments, so I can see at a glance what my life is going to be like during the time the customer has requested. I post these calendars 2 months at a time on my wall, but I keep the remaining months accessible so that I can assess other orders that come in for the future as needed. So I look at the monthly calendar. Hi, Heather. I look at the monthly calendar and I determine whether the order is doable based on what's already there. Let me try to show you. Now, my whole setup situation has gotten a little janky, to quote my 5-year-old grandson, but let's see what we can do here. Okay, so you can see these are my monthly calendars. I left August up there, even though it looks yucky. So you could see it. And you can see here that I've written the customer name and the number of dozens there, just so at a glance I can look at it and see what I have to do, what's already committed. So like you can see on the 18th, I have 9 dozen cookies due on that day. So I would look at that week, and if I take any other orders, I would take that into consideration. Okay. You can also see on here, so see, here's when I was in Virginia last week with the twins, and then next week I'm on vacation, and then here's my grandkids are coming. So I try to keep all of that on these. This is sort of a big picture calendar. So if I have margin for the new order request, let me turn you back around. I get back with the customer and confirm the details and what she's looking for, and then she has 24 hours to confirm with me, and if she does, then I'll write the order on, thank you, Corey. I'll write the order on the applicable date with the customer name and the quantity of dozens that they're asking for. So that's level 1 complete. If I don't hear from them in 24 hours, I'm assuming they're going another direction. All right, so that's orders received and accepted. I'm going to assume there's probably not a lot of questions about that. It's pretty straightforward. If you have, I haven't seen any questions come by, so Allison can keep track of them and bring them to me if there are some. I will also answer, I'd love to answer off-topic questions, but I'm going to hold off on those for sure until we get finished, just so we can get through all of this material. So level 1 is just receiving and accepting orders, and I get them on that big picture wall calendar. So now we'll move to level 2, and this is where I put the workflow information into Asana. So what I want to do here is I want to just show you where we're headed and what we're working toward. I think it would be, it will help you to make sense of the process if you see the value at the end, because it can seem a little bit cumbersome and complicated. So again, I've had to mess with my camera, so give me just a second to figure this out, because I can't, I guess, turn this sideways. So I'm going to hold this. I'm going to try to hold this. All right, so you can see my computer screen. You can see the calendar. And what you're looking at here is the calendar view of my tasks in Asana for this week. It's a compilation of every task for every project and order that I'm working on. And they're color-coded by project. Now, I'm going to zoom in a minute so you can see it a little bit better, but for now, I just want you to get just the overall picture. I can look at this information in a variety of ways, and we won't have time to go into all of that this evening, but I can look at each task individually. I can look at each project individually, or I can look at a day's task. I can also move these around really easily, which I love, and I'm going to show you in a few minutes. I can move one task, or I can move multiple tasks, and there's no erasing or scratching out or using correction tape, which I really love. It's honestly awesome. So now I want to just back up and walk through with you how it works. Just a reminder, I don't want you to be too overwhelmed by these details. We're going to go through it step by step, and then remember, you can come back and look at it later, and I'm going to give you all these instructions in writing too, so you can do it step by step. And truthfully too, a lot of you, I'm not super savvy with this stuff. So this is really actually what probably the basics are that Asana can do, and some of you can probably come back and teach me some stuff in a month or so. But if you'll just do the basics, I think you can catch on. It's pretty intuitive. There's a little bit of a learning curve, but it's definitely worth it. So once confirmed, I print the order and the confirmation. I've created a sample here for us to work from. Let's see. Here's my order sample. I'm going to just show you this. This order came from Heather Miracle, and it's for Corey and Heather's birthday cookies that they've ordered for themselves. I'm not sure why, But this is the way the order form looks when it comes to me. And this is what I use. This is what I'll use for the information to put into Asana. I keep those in a 3-ring binder, which I'll come back to in a little while. But for now, I'm going to use the information that Heather submitted on her order form to put the information into Asana, so I have this workflow going. Okay, the Asana tool, I think Corey or Heather just put up the link. It's located at www.asana.com. You have to set up an account, but it's free. At least the version that I'm using is free. And every time you open it, mine typically stays open, it goes directly to your home screen. So now I'm going to just turn this around and try to get you on my screen and keep you there for a little while. We'll see how that works. All right. I know you can't see the details really yet. I'm going to see if we can zoom in. Well, I'll zoom in a minute to show you exactly what I want you to see. I'm going to go over here to the home screen. Let's just get familiar with that for a minute. On the home screen here, you can see these are today's tasks. So here I've got roll and cut, roll and cut, roll and cut, roll and cut. Those are all different orders, and you can see that they're color coded over here, and we'll come back to that in a minute. And then you can see down here, these are the actual projects or the orders that I have, and they're all color coded. Now, truthfully, I don't pay too much attention to this home screen. That's what comes up when you open it, but I'm always working from what's in this toolbar over here on the left. And what I always use are these two links, my tasks, and then this one down here, which says products. I don't know why they've called it products, because I don't know if you can see it, but what they've actually listed there are my projects. So it seems like to me it should be called projects, but nobody at Asana asked me. So right here next to where it says product, you can see this little plus sign. If we click on that plus sign, it lets you open a new blank project. You have several options there. Use a template, import spreadsheet, and blank project. I have not done the template or the spreadsheet yet. I always just choose new project. So when you click on that, you'll see that it opens a blank project screen. So now we can start a new project. We need to give the order. We need to give the order a name, and I usually use the customer's last name. So in this case, it's Miracle. And then I use some descriptor so that I'll be reminded of what kind of order it is as I'm looking at it later. So I'm just going to put birthday. Miracle birthday. So when we go down here, it goes to create project, and you'll see that it brings up. There we go. So now we have a clean slate, new project ready to task. Now I'm going to close that up just so you can see it. All right, so it's opened up this Miracle Birthday screen. You can see that Asana automatically assigns the project a color. If you don't like the one that's assigned, it's easy to choose a new one, and that matters when it goes to that calendar view, because you don't want it gets confusing if you've got colors too close together, but we can change that if we need to in a minute. But I'm going to choose lime green today. I don't know why. It just seemed like a lime green kind of a day. So now we're going to add tasks. Now remember that I have 5 stages of production for each order: roll and cut, bake, top coat, decorate, and deliver. And each stage is a task. So we're entering tasks for the Miracle Birthday order, and I always start with the delivery and work my way backwards. So the first task that I enter then is always the delivery date. So I just put delivery in the task name, and then I go over here and I assign it to myself. Hopefully you can see that. I'm the one pretty much doing all the work. I have hired my sister for a few things, and we'll talk about that if we have time. And then you enter the due date. Now you can either type the due date in there, or you can use the calendar. The twins' birthday is on the 22nd of November. Write that down if you didn't know it, so we can all spam them on that day. So we're going to deliver on the 21st. So now we have our first task, okay? Delivery, Susan Shepard doing the work, delivering on the 22nd. So the task that comes before that, now I'm going to work my way backwards. So the task that comes before delivery is always decorating, at least it is in my world. Now, it's helpful for you to know here that I'm really trying to work a year ahead. A year ahead. This year, I'm trying to work a week ahead in my delivery dates on customs. I do that for two reasons. One is that I actually think freezing my cookies fully decorated or almost done does something to the cookie that enhances the texture. They're softer and honestly just better. Allison can tell you that. She's had them both ways. And two, I'm also trying to improve my photography, and having my things done a week ahead gives me some flexibility around photography and timing of photos, and it's just less stressful. It gives me a little bit of wiggle room. It doesn't always work, but when I'm planning ahead, it typically does. So I enter the task decorate, and I'm also going to put freeze here just to remind myself that I'm working ahead, and I'm going to decorate these, and then I'm going to package them to freeze. Again, I assign it to myself. And now I'm going to put it, if I'm working a week ahead, I'm going to choose the date that's 1 week ahead of the 22nd to get my decorating done. So that would be the 15th. All right. So now again, working backwards, the task that comes before decorating is top coating. Again, in my world. I usually top coat the day before I decorate. So I'm going to go and just put in the 14th. Oh, November 14th is a Sunday. I don't work on a Sunday, so I'll make it Saturday the 13th. And now, working backwards again from top coating is baking. So I put baking in, give it to myself as a task. And now I typically bake, and I roll and cut on Mondays and I bake on Tuesdays. That's the way my schedule typically works. So regardless of when an order is going to be top coated, I will bake it on Tuesday of that week. So I enter bake, I assign it to myself, and now I go and find the Tuesday prior to that decorating day, and it's the 9th. And then the task that comes before baking, the last task, but actually the first, is roll and cut. And here's where I put the customer's name, just so I can associate the color with the name when it pops up on the calendar. You'll see why that in a minute. So I'm rolling and cutting, and I'm going to do it the day before I bake. So that would be the 8th. So hopefully you can see, and it's not too confusing, me working my way backwards. That's the only way I know how to figure out when I need to start, is to start with the end date and work my way backwards. So now the Miracle Twins birthday order is organized. And it's set, it's where I can find it. It's not going to go anywhere. I don't have to worry about looking for loose pieces of paper or scratching things out. So it's very accessible. But now that the project is done and it is well organized, I want to be able to look at this order in the context of whatever other tasks have to be done on these particular days. So I've got the days in there, but I don't know what else I'm doing on those days. So we need to see the whole picture of our work for this time frame. So what we want to do is go from the project view, which is where we are right now, to the calendar view. So we go to the left-hand margin and we choose My Tasks. And it takes us back to that first view that I showed you with all of the tasks. Now that's for where we are right now. So we're going to scroll down here to November. All right, so here we are in that time frame. You'll notice, I don't know if you can see this. So what you actually see on the calendar are the tasks that are written on the color-coded tabs. So hopefully you can see that. You'll remember that we assigned the Miracle birthday order or project the lime green color. So everything there that's lime green is associated with that particular order. If you look at each of the days that we've assigned a task from that project, you'll see it lime green. So here's the roll and cut, here's baking, here's top coating, here's decorating and freezing, and then if I scroll down, you'll see there's delivery. Okay, so the whole order is right there in front of me in the context of all this other stuff that I have to do. Now, what's great about this is if I feel like I have too much to do on a particular day, I can move things around very simply. So say I feel like I have too much to bake on the 9th, which is when we've scheduled the Miracle birthday order baking. But I could roll and cut them and bake them on the week before, because look, I don't have hardly anything there. Oh, I've got that. Don't pay attention to that. That's from before. So what I want to do is I can easily take it and move it. So I pull this up and I just move it up here. And I pull this one up and I move it up here. See, no erasing, no scratching out, no messy calendars. I love that. I love that I can move it around, and now I can see it's much more, my work is more manageable. I might change this here because now these are going to go in the freezer. So I'm going to change that to bake and freeze because I'm working so far ahead. All right, but see how simple that is? I just changed it to bake and freeze right there. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. I'll take questions in just a minute, but I want to show you one more thing. Once I'm satisfied with the workflow the way it is here on the calendar, I go back and I open it up in the product tab because I want to see just my order. So I got to go down there and find Miracle Cookies, Miracle Birthday Cookies. There we are. All right, so there's the workflow just for this order. And you can see here that it's changed those 2 dates. We started out with the 8th and the 9th, and now we have the 1st and the 2nd. So once I'm satisfied with that, I like to print this. So you can go right in here. I just discovered this, y'all. I'm so excited. You click that little V and you go down here to export and print, and you choose print. And I want you to see what this screen looks like. It's so awesome. So there it is right there. Miracle Birthday deliver on the 22nd, decorate on the 15th, top coat on the 13th, bake and freeze on the 2nd, roll and cut on the 1st. Now I print that and I put it with the order, and I'll show you why later because I'm going to refer back to it in a few minutes. But hopefully that makes sense to you. I love that I can have a paper copy with my order form. So I have all of that together. 2 more quick things before I take questions on what we've done so far. Asana has a mobile app, which I love. I'm going to turn around so I can look at you, for better or for worse. Asana has a mobile app, and I love that because if I'm sitting at a stoplight, sitting at a stoplight, not driving, and I worry about something I've forgotten or wondering if I've written something down, I can pull it up on my app and see if I'm behind. Or if I get an inquiry when I'm at the gym or something and I want to be able to respond to some portion of that, I can look at my app and see what I'm doing the week that has been requested. I love that. Also, I'm getting notifications from Asana every morning with that day's tasks. Let me show you what I got today. So this pops up on my phone every morning and my email. Or you've got a setting, you can do either or. So it shows you like this. So here's your tasks for today. So you can see that I was rolling and cutting today 5 orders, and then you can mark those off. And there's something, I don't know about you, but I love being able to check off a list. So I can check those things off and I know that they're done. They fall off of my to-do list, and I don't have to worry about that anymore. And that matters because sometimes I'm working ahead and so I can't remember. Did I roll and cut Kelly's? I can go back and look. Yes, I rolled and cut it on the, whatever today is, the 30th. All right, I'm going to turn this back around. Try to turn it back around. Well, it's not one. There we go. All right. Allison, were there any questions? Any questions anybody has? There is a little bit of a learning curve here, and I know it's a lot, but it's definitely been worth it for me. And it hasn't taken that long to get up to speed. And like I said, I'm still learning things. Like I just learned yesterday how to print out those.
Sorry, mine's lagging, so I just
Okay.
to Allison. Do you have any questions?
Oh.
Your friends are answering them as we go.
Oh, they are?
So, yes.
Oh, Corey and Heather, are you answering all my questions? That's awesome. Okay. All right. Just let me know if there's more questions.
Okay, I will.
All right. All right. She's in the other room. So she's
lagging.
okay. She said she's lagging a little bit. So feel free to ask questions. Allison's going to keep track of them and we'll keep stopping to cover them as we go along. Okay, so that's levels 1 and 2 of my order workflow process. And really, you could stop there. Your work is well organized and accessible. Everything is there and won't get lost. You'll get that email or that reminder every day about what you have to do. And so you could just stop there. But I'm a visual person and I want to be able to see all of my work at a glance without having to go to my computer or my phone. So if the delivery date is within 5 weeks, it goes to level 3 in my planning process. So now I know we've been working with the twins' birthday cookies, but since that's not till November, it would typically be filed away until sort of toward the end of October. So I've pulled out an order that's coming up on September 18th. Let's see here. I printed the project information just like I showed you. This is a order for a baby shower for the Iaconetti family. So you can see that. There's the printout of the order. And so you can see the delivery dates, the decorating dates, the top coat and the bake and the roll and cut. All right, so to put those tasks in an order in front of me, I have purchased 2 very cheap tools. The first is just a packet of Post-it notes that I think I got at Staples. And the second is just I bought 5, sorry, my camera is like trying to tip over. I bought 5 whiteboards from Walmart, very inexpensive. And what I've done is I've used 1 whiteboard for each week of the month. And the 5th month is the transition board, the 5th week going into the new month. So on the whiteboards with permanent marker, I've written week number 1, week number 2, week number 3, week number 4, and then I wrote columns for each of the days of the week. And then at the beginning of the month, I take a dry erase marker and I go in there and I write whatever is the pertinent information for that month. I put the days, the weeks, and the days on the calendar with dry erase marker. Let me show you what that looks like. I'll carry you over there. So here you can see all 5 of my boards. And you can see up here that I've just written you don't even have to do that, but I don't know why I did it. Week 1, week 2, week 3, and then every board has 7 columns for the days. And then I went in there and wrote the actual dates in dry erase. So that gets changed every month, obviously. So I did this yesterday for September. It took me about probably 30 minutes or so. Okay, and then you can also see that I have these little colored tabs. I don't even really know where I think I got them at Staples, but happily there are 5 colors. So that works really well when you have 5 tasks. We've got roll and cut, bake, top coat, decor, and deliver. So I use those 5 tabs for each of the orders as they come in for that month to put them on the calendar so I can see it. Once a project order is entered into Asana and I can print it out like I just showed you, if it's within that month, I use that information to place those tabs on the corresponding date on the whiteboard. I write the project number and the project name and the number of dozens on the little tabs. You can see here what I've done for the Iaconetti order. So there they are. They're ready to put up. And then I would just take those and put them on the boards where they belong. Now you can see I love this for several reasons. One is that if I'm sitting at my desk, which is where I am right now, I can look at that wall and see exactly how much work I have left to do. Sometimes that's a little depressing, but it's helpful to look at it and go, oh, I have a really busy day on, like this week, Monday and Tuesday, you can see up there, super busy. I had 5 large orders to cut today, 5 to bake tomorrow. I've got a top coating tomorrow, a top coating Wednesday, decorating on Wednesday, but then you can see Friday and Saturday are pretty light, which is nice. So it's just helpful for me to go, oh, I can look up there and see exactly what my week looks like. And I also love that as I get those tasks done, I just take those tabs off and throw them away. And there's something really good for my soul to be just clearing off that board. And I love at the end of the day for there to be no tabs on the board. It just is good. It's positive energy for me. The other thing that I really like about it that's a lifesaver is that when someone throws a kink in my get along, which they do on a regular basis, like I have my grands unexpectedly, or I don't feel great for a particular reason, or my husband wants to go do something fun, or I just have some interruption, if I get behind or if I get ahead, I can simply move the tabs around, rethinking what needs to be done in the context of everything else that needs to be done, which is super helpful to me because it takes the stress off, knowing that I can be flexible without forgetting things. So it's the same thing as moving the tasks around in Asana, except when you're moving them around, at least in my the way I do it, when I'm moving them around in Asana, I'm usually working pretty far ahead. This is me working in real time. This is, oh my goodness, my day just got derailed. How am I going to get all this work done? Last week I got behind on a couple of things, and so I finished the day and there were still tabs on my day. So I had to move those tabs around in order to be able to get that work done. And honestly, it's such a it helps me to be able to be in the moment. I don't know if you feel this way, but I don't like to be sitting there working on something, having in the back of my mind all the things that I need to remember. And the truth is, the older I get, I'm not great at that. So if I will work the plan and stay the course, then typically everything gets done. And I very rarely have days when I'm up till midnight. Now I do that sometimes, but not as often. So that's level 3. I take what's from in Asana, and if it's within the month, I put it up on these weekly calendars on my wall so that I can see them at a glance. If there's any questions, Allison, just bring them to me. Any questions anybody have? I'm not seeing questions, oddly. Oh yeah, there they are. Wow, I'm scrolling down. All right, I'm just gonna let Allison bring me questions if there were some. Okay, so that's level 3. The order was received and accepted. I put the information into Asana. I took the Asana information and put it where I could see it on my wall. And then the last level, and I promise this is the easiest one, I just have a notebook where I keep all of my pending orders. The notebook is divided. I have one divider that says next week, and then I have a divider for each of the quarters of the year where I put stuff that's in the future. I put the printed order form, the confirmation, and then this printed Asana project sheet that I showed you with the tabs on it that I'll use on the wall calendars. All that goes in the notebook together under whichever divider is most applicable. I always highlight on my order forms the person's name, the due date, the details, and the quantity, just whatever I don't want to forget, because I can tend to sometimes skip over important information. The other thing that I do is I have this little form that I call a production notes. I mean, I just did it myself. This form goes with me to the kitchen when it's time. You can see that I've just written the customer's name up here and the due date and the number of dozens. And then this is the color of the Asana tab. So if I'm looking at it on Asana, I'll know. And you can see here that I've written, do I need new cutters? Did I order them? When are they coming? Am I doing any other color, any other flavor other than sugar? And then what I've done here is I kind of plan out that particular order. So how many cookie cutters which cookie cutters I need and how many I need of each. And this goes with the order form. Sometimes, the order's so far in advance that I don't get to that planning stage. I just put it in there as a blank so I have it to use when I get to it. But typically I try to do the plan when the order comes in. I attach that form to it, and then when the time comes, I pull all of that out together. And now all of that work takes place typically, 3 weeks to a month ahead of time. If it's sooner than that, if somebody's asking for it, this is another thing. If somebody's asking me for a last minute order, which I don't do a lot of last minute orders because I don't have the margin necessarily, but if they're asking for next week, I can really easily look at my wall board and decide if I have 40,000 tabs on there, I'm going to say, no, thank you, I can't get that done. But if I only have 3 or 4 tabs, then I can get it done. So I can tell them that I can add it, and then I go ahead and put all the tabs on there. So that's super helpful. Let me just tell you real quickly how I manage my week's work. So where it goes from the paperwork process to actual production. Each week on Saturday, I take that week's orders out of the notebook and I put them on a bulletin board according to the delivery day. I pull the production notes out because those go to the kitchen with me on Mondays for cutting and rolling and cutting. And then if I haven't planned out the order, I would do that now. So if I haven't picked out the cookie cutters or whatever, I do that on Saturday. Here's my little bulletin board. I'll just show you real quick. So there's my bulletin board. So you can see I just made paper tags that have the days on them. And then this is all the stuff I was cutting today. And then these are the orders for this week. So that's the current workflow. Now, I know this is going to be controversial, and I can't see the comments. So Corey and Heather, you can comment to me personally later, but I don't typically ask for payment until the week of delivery. I know that's not for everybody, but it just hasn't been a problem, and it's just my customers are really great about it. So what I do is every Saturday I put the invoices together for that week's orders, and then on Sunday evening I email the invoice and pickup instructions to each of the customers. I print the invoice and I put it with its order on the bulletin board, and when it gets paid, I note that on the invoice. Here's something that I did it in July, actually. It's super helpful. I went ahead and drafted text for all of the emails that I have to send on a regular basis. Everything that is like a repeat or a repetitive sale or pickup that I have. So in the draft, I have asterisks in red where the specifics need to be filled in for each recipient, just to help me to remember to go in and change those things, like the date, the pickup date, and the number of whatever it is that they're doing. And but I copy and paste the applicable text into the email with the invoice. I do that so that I don't have to remember the wording and the important details every time. So I have a file in my Word program for email text, and I have written emails for paint your own pickup, pinwheel platter pickups, order confirmations, pre-sale confirmations, individually wrapped orders, bulk packaging orders, orders that have to be shipped, all those different texts. I have written it out, and I just cut and paste every time. It's a huge time saver, and honestly, it's another stress reliever because I don't have to worry. I can't tell you how many times I sent an email without my address or I'd send an email without the date in there. And so it was too much back and forth. And so this just makes sure that I get all of the information in there, and it's said the same way every time. So if somebody complains to me that they didn't get the information, I can know that they actually did because they got the same information that everybody else did. All right. And one more thing, and then we'll take whatever questions you have. It's almost 8:00. This has been a huge relief for me going into this year. I have calendared every product that I'm generating for my customers for the year. So that's pre-sales, workshops, cookie clubs, paint your own, and DIY. Again, working backwards and deciding on delivery and pickup dates, I put all of that stuff on Asana. I put all 5 workflow tasks for each of those things on there. I put when samples have to be ready on there so that I don't have to be reactionary when I realize there's a holiday coming in 3 weeks, which happened to me several times in the spring. I put on there when social media is launching, and I do have a separate social media calendar that I do use a paper and pencil for. There's not nearly as much moving targets there. And I use that on Saturdays. I pull that out every Saturday, and I plan all 7 days of Instagram and Facebook posts on Saturday for the upcoming week. Now, again, none of that is written in stone, but it gives me such a sense of security to know that it's at least on there somewhere. I woke up and realized that Easter was 3 weeks away this spring, and I had no samples out, and I don't know how many. I was doing graduation stuff, and I was, well, not graduation. What came right before Easter? Valentine's Day? Was Easter early this year? Something. And I had so many customs that I was up till midnight trying. I hadn't even planned my Easter cookies. So planning them and doing samples, I was so frustrated because I hadn't looked at the calendar, and that's not going to happen to me this year. Even if I decide to do something different, it's all on there. So I'm grateful to have that planning done. I can be flexible within the plan, but it's all done. Now I keep saying to myself, now I just have to work the plan and not change my mind. I bought all of my cookie cutters and got all those organized so they're all ready to go for all of those events. So now I just have to not change my mind when I see the cool things that y'all are doing. So the goal is to stay the course and to work the plan. That's what I say to myself all the time. So that was a lot. That was like a freight train that took off, and I'm not sure it can come back to the station. But Allison, are there questions? Anybody have questions that I can answer? I will tell you that I did hire my sister to roll and cut and bake all of the orders that I'm generating. So she's going to roll and cut and bake all of my pre-sales, my workshop cookies, my cookie boxes, my cookie club stuff, and paint your own stuff. So that's going to be a huge help. She's going to be able to work ahead. And the idea of not having to do those is a big help to me. I'm just going to pay her by the cookie, and she loves to bake, and I can trust her, and so that's going to work out good. What else? Y'all got questions? Allison's going to bring me questions. Just a reminder that you can feel free to watch this on replay, and if you have questions after the fact, do bring them to me, and I'll be glad to answer them. I also will try to get this outline sort of refined so that it's helpful, and I'll see if Corey and Heather can help me put it up so you can use it if you need it. What do we got here? Anything else? What in the world is going on here? I'm reading y'all's comments. I guess I've missed a lot of fun. I'll have to go back and watch that. All right. No questions?
Yeah, I don't have any questions.
No questions. Wow. That's great. All right. Let me know if you've got any questions. I'll give you another minute or two. Let me think if I can tell you anything else. I will say this. I do notice that people ask almost every time. People want to know, how many dozen can you do? How many dozen can you do in a week? And I don't know about other cookiers, but for me, there's just not a cut and dry answer to that question, because it depends on, you know, how difficult the designs are, how much writing there is, how many colors there are, what else I have to do that week. If I have my grandchildren that week, or if I'm gonna be gone for a day, or so I don't have and I don't like to work on Sundays, so I don't have a real cut and dry answer for that. I think I could probably, if I have nothing else, and I could comfortably do probably 12 to 15 dozen and still have a life. I don't want to work full time. So a good work day for me is 5 or 6 hours, and then I can go to the gym or have lunch with a friend or spend time with my grandchildren or do something fun with my husband. Obviously around the holidays, I don't have much of a life outside of doing cookies like the rest of you, but typically that's what I would shoot for, is a 5 to 6 hour day. And if I do what I'm saying that I do, it's rare that I have a longer day than that. I might have 2 really long days and then have the rest of the week off. I just have been able to manage that, and it's been great. I wouldn't do this otherwise, because I don't want to work full time. And honestly, you guys know this, we don't get paid enough. So I love what I'm doing, and as long as I love it, I'll keep doing it, but I don't want to work all day every day, and I don't want to work till midnight every night. I can't do that anymore. So, all right. Well, thanks so much for your time and for being patient with all of my technological challenges. And if you have questions, please do feel free to message me or comment here and write replay, and I'll get back to those questions sometime later this week. All right. All right. Look at us finishing at 8:02. All right. Thank you guys. Have a good evening. Bye.